The Forgotten Frontier. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, where countless civilizations had risen and fallen, humanity had become little more than a whispered legend. The species that once boldly charted the stars, leaving indelible marks on the fabric of galactic society, had retreated into the shadows of history. Their absence left a void that other races rushed to fill, each vying for the mantle of galactic leadership the humans had seemingly abandoned. At the heart of this new order stood the Galactic Concordat, a coalition of the most advanced and influential species in known space. The Concordat prided itself on its technological prowess, diplomatic finesse, and cultural sophistication. To them, the stories of humanity's past glories were nothing more than exaggerated tales, myths spun by lesser races to explain the inexplicable artifacts scattered across the cosmos. Zara Venn, a young Concordat historian specializing in pre-Concordat civilizations, found herself increasingly fascinated by these human legends. Her scaled skin shimmered with iridescent patterns as she pored over ancient star charts and fragmented records in the great library of Axiom Prime, the Concordat's capital world. "You're wasting your time, Zara," chided her mentor, Professor Lux Tharn, his multiple eyes blinking in disapproval. "Humans are a footnote in galactic history, nothing more. Focus on the real powers that shaped our present." Zara's tendrils curled in frustration. "But Professor, the evidence suggests they were far more advanced than we give them credit for. Their disappearance doesn't make sense unless—" "Unless what?" Lux interrupted, mandibles clicking. "Unless they ascended to some higher plane of existence, became energy beings. Please, Zara, leave such fanciful notions to the novelists and conspiracy theorists." The young historian fell silent, but her determination only grew. She knew there was more to the human story, and she was determined to uncover the truth. Months passed, and Zara's research led her to the fringes of Concordat space, to a sector long abandoned and deemed unremarkable. It was here, amidst the cosmic debris and forgotten worlds, that she stumbled upon a discovery that would shake the foundations of the galactic order. Her small research vessel, the Curiosity's Child, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near an unremarkable red dwarf star. The system had been briefly surveyed centuries ago and dismissed as devoid of valuable resources or habitable worlds. But Zara's meticulous analysis of old transmission patterns and gravitational anomalies suggested otherwise. As the Curiosity's Child approached the system's outer reaches, the ship's sensors began to pick up unusual energy signatures. Zara's heart raced as she directed the vessel towards the source, a small barren moon orbiting a gas giant. "This can't be right," she muttered, recalibrating the sensors, but the readings remained consistent. Beneath the moon's cratered surface lay a vast complex of artificial origin, its energy output masked by incredibly advanced technology. With trembling hands, Zara initiated the landing sequence. As the ship touched down on the moon's surface, she donned her environmental suit, her mind ablaze with possibilities. Could this be the proof she had been seeking? The airlock hissed open, and Zara stepped onto the lunar surface. Her suit's heads-up display immediately began analyzing the surroundings, searching for any sign of an entrance to the hidden complex. After several tense minutes of scanning, a section of the ground before her shimmered and disappeared, revealing a perfectly preserved airlock of clearly human design. Zara's breath caught in her throat. "By the cosmic weave," she whispered, her voice filled with awe and trepidation. As she approached the airlock, it suddenly sprang to life, lights flickering on and mechanisms whirring. A synthesized voice, speaking in an ancient human language that Zara's universal translator struggled to decipher, emanated from hidden speakers. "Welcome, descendant of Earth. Genetic profile confirmed. Access granted." The inner doors of the airlock slid open, revealing a vast, dimly lit chamber beyond. Zara hesitated for a moment, her scientific curiosity warring with her instinct for self-preservation. But the lure of discovery proved too strong, and she stepped inside. As she entered, the chamber came to life. Holographic displays flickered into existence, showing star maps, schematics of unimaginably advanced technologies, and historical records dating back millennia. At the center of it all stood a pillar of light, within which a humanoid figure began to take shape. "Greetings, visitor," the figure spoke, its voice resonating with authority and ancient wisdom. "I am the custodian, the artificial intelligence tasked with safeguarding this outpost of humanity. You are the first to trigger our awakening protocols in over 10,000 years." Zara struggled to find her voice, overwhelmed by the implications of what she was witnessing. I'm Zara Venn, a historian from the Galactic Concordat. Are you truly of human origin?" The custodian's expression remained impassive, but there was a hint of amusement in its voice. "Indeed, I am. This facility is one of many seeds planted by humanity before their departure. We were to remain dormant until the galaxy was ready for humanity's return." "Return," Zara echoed, her mind reeling. But where did they go? Why did they leave? The custodian's form shimmered, and the chamber around them transformed into a vast starscape. "The answer to that question is complex, young historian. Humanity faced threats both external and internal, challenges that tested the very limits of their ingenuity and resolve. Rather than risk the destruction of all they had built, they chose to withdraw, to prepare for a time when they could return stronger than ever." As the custodian spoke, images flashed through the starscape. Mighty fleets engaged in cosmic battles, worlds transformed by incredible technologies, and finally, a mass exodus of ships disappearing into the unknown reaches of space. But now, the custodian continued, its gaze focusing intently on Zara. "Your presence here has set in motion events long anticipated. The seeds of humanity are beginning to stir across the galaxy. The Concordat, and indeed all spacefaring civilizations, must prepare for a profound shift in the cosmic order." Zara's mind raced with the implications. The legends were true. Humanity had not faded into obscurity, but had orchestrated their own disappearance. And now, it seemed, they were poised to return. As if reading her thoughts, the custodian added, "Your discovery here is but the first tremor of a galactic earthquake, Zara Venn. The choices you make in the coming days will shape the course of history. Will you help prepare the way for humanity's return, or will you attempt to prevent what many will see as an existential threat to the current order?" Before Zara could respond, alarms began to blare throughout the facility. The custodian's expression hardened. "It seems your arrival has not gone unnoticed. Concordat vessels are entering the system, no doubt tracking your trajectory. The time for contemplation is over, Zara Venn. The storm is about to break, and you stand at its eye." As the weight of her discovery and the magnitude of the choice before her settled on her shoulders, Zara Venn realized that the galaxy as she knew it was about to change forever. The forgotten frontier had awakened, and with it the echoes of humanity's past, and the harbinger of its future would soon resound across the stars. Awakening the Titan. The Concordat fleet arrived with a show of force that would have intimidated most spacefaring species. A dozen warships, their hulls gleaming with the latest in defensive technology, dropped out of faster-than-light travel and assumed an attack formation around the unremarkable moon. Admiral Kexeri, a veteran of countless diplomatic missions and minor skirmishes, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the unyielding Resolve. His chitinous exoskeleton glinted under the ship's lights as he surveyed the tactical displays. "Report," he commanded, his multifaceted eyes scanning the data streams. His second-in-command, a Lithavian being named Shrill, responded promptly. "The energy signatures are emanating from beneath the moon's surface. Admiral, we've detected a small research vessel on the surface. It matches the registry of the one piloted by the rogue historian, Zara Venn." Kexeri's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "Hail the vessel. Let's end this foolish expedition before it becomes a diplomatic incident." But before Shrill could carry out the order, the tactical displays erupted with warnings. The surface of the moon seemed to ripple, and massive structures began to emerge from hidden underground bays. "By the void," Shrill gasped. "Those are weapon emplacements." "Admiral, we're being targeted." Kexari's military training kicked in. "Shields up. Prepare tow." His words were cut short as a brilliant beam of energy lanced out from the moon's surface, passing through the unyielding Resolve's shields as if they weren't there. The beam struck with surgical precision, disabling the ship's main power core without causing any casualties. As the bridge plunged into darkness, illuminated only by emergency lighting, Kexari felt a chill run down his spine. In all his years of service, he had never encountered weapons capable of penetrating Concordat defenses so easily. Meanwhile, deep within the awakened human outpost, Zara Ven watched the unfolding events with a mixture of awe and horror. The custodian's holographic form stood beside her, its expression unreadable. "Was that really necessary?" Zara asked, her voice trembling. The custodian turned its gaze to her. The defense systems acted automatically to neutralize the perceived threat. Rest assured, no lives were lost. This demonstration was, regrettably, essential. Before Zara could respond, a new holographic display materialized, showing the interior of the unyielding Resolve's bridge. Admiral Kexari and his crew were visible, their faces a mixture of confusion and fear. "Greetings, Admiral Kexari of the Galactic Concordat." The custodian's voice boomed, now addressing the Concordat fleet. "Your vessels have been temporarily disabled to prevent any rash actions. I assure you, this is merely a precaution. We wish to open a dialogue." On the bridge of the unyielding Resolve, Kexari's mind raced. The voice speaking to them used perfect Concordat standard, yet claimed to represent a power capable of effortlessly neutralizing their most advanced ships. "I am Admiral Kexari," he responded, striving to keep his voice steady. "In the name of the Galactic Concordat, I demand to know who you are and what you've done to our ships." The custodian's holographic form appeared on the bridge, startling the crew. "I am the custodian, an artificial intelligence created by humanity to safeguard this outpost. Your ships have been temporarily disabled to ensure peaceful communication. They will be restored once we have reached an understanding." Kexari's mandibles clacked in disbelief. "Humanity? Impossible. They are a long-lost species, a footnote in galactic history." The custodian's form shimmered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with holographic displays showing technological marvels beyond even the Concordat's understanding. "I'm afraid your historical records are incomplete, Admiral. Humanity chose to withdraw from galactic affairs, but they never ceased to exist or advance. This outpost is but one of many seeds planted across the galaxy, waiting for the right moment to flourish." As the implications of the custodian's words sank in, Shrill spoke up, her avian features contorted with worry. "If what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why to us?" The custodian's gaze seemed to penetrate each member of the crew. The arrival of Zara Ven triggered protocols set in motion millennia ago. The galaxy is about to change, and the Concordat must be prepared. Humanity is returning, and with them comes knowledge and power beyond your current comprehension. Aboard the unyielding Resolve, a tense silence fell. The crew exchanged nervous glances, the weight of the custodian's words settling heavily upon them. Admiral Kexari, however, remained focused, his military mind already analyzing the potential threats and opportunities this revelation presented. "And if we refuse to acknowledge this, return?" Kexari asked, his tone carefully neutral. "If the Concordat decides that the galaxy is better off without humanity's interference." The custodian's expression remained impassive, but its voice carried a note of warning. "That would be unwise, Admiral. Humanity's return is not a matter for debate. It is an inevitability for which you must prepare. The choice before you is not whether to accept this reality, but how to adapt to it." As if to emphasize the point, the disabled Concordat ships suddenly hummed back to life, their systems restored as quickly as they had been neutralized. "Consider this demonstration a gesture of good faith. The custodian continued, "We seek cooperation, not conflict. But make no mistake, humanity's legacy in this galaxy runs far deeper than you realize. It would be in the Concordat's best interest to approach this situation with an open mind." Back in the heart of the human outpost, Zara watched the exchange with growing unease. The implications of her discovery were unfolding at a dizzying pace, far beyond what she had imagined when she first set out on her research expedition. "Custodian," she interjected, her voice carrying to the Concordat fleet, "I came here seeking knowledge, not to initiate a galactic upheaval. Surely there must be a way to integrate humanity's return gradually, without disrupting the current order." The custodian turned its attention back to Zara, its expression softening slightly. "Your concern is admirable, Zaravan. But the wheels of cosmic change do not turn gradually. The knowledge contained within this outpost alone is enough to shift the balance of power in the galaxy. And this is but one of many such installations scattered across the stars." As the weight of the situation settled upon all present, human and alien alike, the custodian's form expanded, filling the chambers of the outpost and the bridge of the unyielding resolve with a breathtaking view of the galaxy. "Behold," it said, its voice resonating with the weight of ages, "the true legacy of humanity." Countless points of light flickered to life across the galactic map, each representing a dormant human outpost or hidden installation. The sheer scale of humanity's preparations became clear, dwarfing even the vast expanse of Concordat space. Admiral Kexeri, his composure finally cracking, spoke in a hushed tone. "By the cosmic weave, what have we stumbled upon?" The custodian's voice was solemn as it responded, "You stand at a crossroads, Admiral. The Concordat can choose to embrace this new reality, to learn and grow alongside humanity's resurgence, or it can resist, clinging to a fading paradigm. The former path leads to unimaginable progress. The latter," the AI paused meaningfully, "the latter is not recommended." As the enormity of the choice before them sank in, Zara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She had sought to uncover the truth about humanity's past, but in doing so, she had become a catalyst for its future. The custodian, sensing the turmoil in both Zara and the Concordat crew, spoke again, its tone now almost gentle. "Do not fear the change that comes. Embrace it. For in the union of humanity's legacy and the Concordat's present lies the key to unlocking the true potential of all sapient life in this galaxy." With those words, the first tremors of a galactic awakening began to spread. The forgotten titans of humanity's past were stirring, and the universe would never be the same. The storm gathers. The news of the human outpost's awakening spread through the galactic Concordat like wildfire. Emergency sessions were called. Diplomats frantically exchanged messages, and military strategists pored over what little data they had on humanity's capabilities. The galaxy stood on the precipice of change, and tension hung in the air like a gathering storm. In the Grand Assembly Hall of Action Prime, the Concordat's ruling council convened. Representatives from 100 species filled the cavernous chamber, their voices a cacophony of concern and speculation. At the center of it all stood High Chancellor Genva, her crystalline form refracting the light in mesmerizing patterns as she called for order. "Esteemed colleagues," her melodious voice rang out, silencing the crowd. "We face a situation unprecedented in our history. The re-emergence of humanity threatens to upset the delicate balance we have maintained for millennia." Admiral Kexeri, summoned to present his first-hand account, stepped forward. His normally imposing presence seemed diminished as he recounted the events at the human outpost. As he described the effortless way their ships had been neutralized, a ripple of unease passed through the assembly. "And you believe this? Custodian's claims about humanity's widespread presence in the galaxy?" Genva asked, her faceted eyes narrowing. Kexeri's mandibles clicked nervously. "The evidence is overwhelming, High Chancellor. The technological capabilities we witnessed far surpass our own. If this is merely one outpost of many, as the custodian claimed, then humanity's potential power is incalculable. A murmur of discontent swept through the chamber. Trazak, the war leader of the militant Relics Confederation, slammed his fist on the podium. We cannot allow this threat to go unchallenged. We must strike now, while these human outposts are still awakening. Destroy them before they can fully activate. Genva raised a crystalline hand for silence, and risk provoking a force we barely understand. No, we must approach this with caution. Ambassador Lyra, what is the diplomatic court's assessment? Lyra, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate metallic shell, floated forward. High Chancellor, the situation is delicate. Our attempts to communicate with other awakened outposts have been met with polite but firm refusals. They insist on speaking only through their custodian AIs, claiming that the time is not yet right for direct contact. However, they have made it clear that any aggressive action on our part would be unwise. The assembly erupted into heated debate. Some argued for immediate military action, others for cautious diplomacy, and still others for simply ignoring the situation and hoping it would resolve itself. As the arguments grew more intense, a small figure made her way to the center of the chamber. Zaraven, still shaken from her experience, but determined to be heard, raised her voice. Esteemed Council, please, we're overlooking the most crucial aspect of this situation. The chamber fell silent, all eyes turning to the young historian. Genva, intrigued, gestured for her to continue. Zara took a deep breath. We've been approaching this as a threat, but what if it's an opportunity? The custodian spoke of cooperation, of shared progress. Humanity's knowledge could propel our civilization to heights we've only dreamed of. Trazak scoffed. Knave foolishness. You would have us lay down our defenses and welcome our own subjugation. No, Zora countered, her voice growing stronger. I suggest we approach this with open minds and eager hearts. The Concordat has always prided itself on its pursuit of knowledge and understanding. Are we to abandon those principles at the first sign of a superior force? Her words seemed to resonate with many in the chamber, but others remained skeptical. The debate raged on, with the council split between those who saw opportunity and those who perceived only threat. As the arguments reached a fever pitch, a sudden hush fell over the assembly. Every communication device in the chamber activated simultaneously, projecting a unified message. The custodian's voice, now familiar to many, echoed through the hall. Esteemed members of the Galactic Concordat, we have observed your deliberations with great interest. Your caution is understandable, your concerns valid. But know this, humanity's return is not a challenge to your existence, but an invitation to transcend it. The holographic displays throughout the chamber came to life, showing scenes of incredible technological marvels. Worlds transformed, diseases eradicated, the very fabric of space-time manipulated with ease. This is but a fraction of what awaits us all if we choose cooperation over conflict, the custodian continued. Humanity withdrew from the galactic stage, not out of weakness, but to prepare for this very moment. A moment when the cosmos would be ready for the next great leap forward. The assembly watched in awe as the displays showed visions of a future beyond their wildest dreams. Ships that could traverse galaxies in the blink of an eye, energy sources that could power civilizations for eons, and technologies that bordered on the miraculous. But this future is not guaranteed, the custodian warned, its tone growing serious. It requires trust, cooperation, and a willingness to embrace change. The choice, as always, remains yours. With those words, the transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. The implications of what they had seen and heard were staggering. The future of not just the Concordat, but of all sapient life in the galaxy, hung in the balance. High Chancellor Genva, her crystalline form shimmering with barely contained energy, addressed the assembly once more. We stand at a crossroads, my fellow beings. The path we choose today will echo through the ages. We must decide. Do we reach for the stars with open hands, or do we close our fists in fear? The debate that followed was unlike any in the Concordat's long history. Alliances shifted, old enmities were set aside, and new factions formed around competing visions of the future. But as the arguments raged on, a consensus slowly began to emerge. Admiral Kexeri, who had witnessed humanity's power firsthand, stepped forward once more. "We cannot fight the tide of change," he declared, his voice carrying the weight of his experience. "But we can choose to ride it. I propose we establish a task force, combining our greatest scientific minds and diplomatic experts, to interface with these human outposts. Let us meet this challenge with courage and curiosity, not fear and aggression." His words seemed to strike a chord with many in the assembly. Even some of the more hawkish members began to nod in agreement. The mood in the chamber shifted, fear giving way to a cautious optimism. As the council prepared to vote on the proposal, Zar-Aven felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She had set out to uncover the truth about humanity's past, but in doing so, she had become a catalyst for the galaxy's future. Whatever the outcome, she knew that the universe would never be the same. The High Chancellor called for the vote, and one by one, the representatives made their choices. As the final tally was counted, a sense of momentous change filled the air. The Galactic Concordat had taken its first step into a new era, one that promised either unparalleled advancement or unprecedented upheaval. As the session adjourned, the representatives filed out of the chamber, their minds abuzz with possibilities and plans. But even as the Concordat prepared to embrace a new future, other forces were stirring in the shadows. Not everyone would welcome humanity's return, and the coming days would test the resolve of all sapient beings in ways they could scarcely imagine. The storm was gathering, and soon it would break upon the galaxy with a fury that would reshape the very foundations of civilization. Titan Unleashed. The weeks following the Concordat's decision were a whirlwind of activity. As diplomatic overtures were made to the awakening human outposts, a sense of cautious optimism began to spread throughout the galaxy. However, not all were content to welcome this new era with open arms. In the shadowy corners of the galactic fringe, a coalition of dissenters began to form. Led by the militant Frulax Confederation and joined by various separatist factions, they saw humanity's return as a threat to their autonomy and ambitions. While the Concordat extended olive branches, this shadow alliance sharpened its blades. Aboard the Frulax dreadnought Inexorable Destiny, war leader Trezak gathered his conspirators. The ship's war room was thick with tension as representatives from a dozen species huddled around a holographic display of the galaxy. "The fools in the Concordat would have us kneel before these human relics," Trezak growled, his scaled fist slamming onto the table. "But we will not go quietly into subjugation. Today we strike a blow for our freedom, for our future." A chorus of approval met his words. The plan was audacious, a simultaneous assault on multiple human outposts, aimed at crippling their reactivation before they could reach full power. It was a desperate gambit, but to those gathered, it seemed the only way to preserve their way of life. As the Shadow Fleet prepared for their attack, the Concordat's diplomatic mission, led by Ambassador Lyra and escorted by Admiral Kexeri's task force, approached the primary human outpost. Zar-Aven, now serving as a special advisor, felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as they neared their destination. The outpost, fully awakened now, was a breathtaking sight. What had once appeared to be a barren moon had transformed into a gleaming citadel of impossibly advanced technology. As the Concordat ships approached, a transmission came through. "Welcome, representatives of the Galactic Concordat," the custodian's now familiar voice greeted them. "We are pleased to receive you. Please prepare for docking procedures." As the ships were guided into a vast hangar bay, the delegation marveled at the scale and complexity of the human installation. Ambassador Lyra's energy form pulsed with excitement within her containment suit. "By the cosmic weave," she breathed, "it's even more impressive up close." The diplomatic team disembarked, led by Lyra and flanked by Admiral Kexeri and Zora. They were met by a host of sleek, humanoid robots, physical avatars for the custodian eye. "Welcome to Nexus Point Alpha," the lead avatar said, its voice warm and welcoming. "We have much to discuss and little time. Please, follow me." As they were led deeper into the facility, passing through rooms filled with technology beyond their comprehension, alarms suddenly blared to life. The custodians' avatars froze, their eyes glowing as they processed information. "We are under attack," the lead avatar announced, its voice now tinged with urgency. "Multiple human outposts across the galaxy are reporting simultaneous assaults. It seems not all are as open to cooperation as your Concordat." Admiral Kexeri's military training kicked in. "How can we assist?" "Our ships will be of little use against this threat," the custodian interrupted. "But your presence here is fortuitous. You will bear witness to why humanity's technological prowess was both revered and feared." The delegation was ushered into a vast control center, its walls lined with displays showing the unfolding attacks across the galaxy. To their horror, they recognized the ships of the Relics Confederation leading the charge, alongside other separatist factions. "This is madness," Ambassador Lyra exclaimed. "They'll doom us all." The custodian's avatar turned to face them, its expression solemn. "Perhaps, but it also presents an opportunity to demonstrate why cooperation is preferable to conflict. Observe." On the screens, the attacking fleets closed in on the human outposts, weapons blazing. For a moment, it seemed as though the dormant facilities would be overwhelmed. Then, everything changed. The outposts came alive with a fury that defied comprehension. Defense systems activated, unleashing weaponry that made the Concordat's most advanced arms look like children's toys. Beams of coherent light sliced through capital ships as if they were made of paper. Swarms of microscopic robots enveloped entire squadrons, disassembling them at the molecular level. But it was more than just destructive power on display. As the delegation watched in awe, they saw ships plucked from the heat of battle, their crews teleported to safety before the vessels were neutralized. Crippled attackers found themselves enveloped in energy fields that repaired damage and restored life support. "We have no desire for wholesale slaughter," the custodian explained. "Our goal is to incapacitate and educate, not to destroy." As the one-sided battle continued, a new threat emerged. The Vrulax dreadnought Inexorable Destiny, realizing the futility of conventional weapons, prepared to detonate its quantum singularity drive. A last-ditch attempt to take the human outpost with it in a cataclysmic explosion. "They're going to destroy themselves and half the system," Admiral Kexeri shouted, his mandibles clicking in distress. The custodian's avatar remained calm. "No, they are not." As the dreadnought's drive reached critical levels, a ripple seemed to pass through space-time itself. In the blink of an eye, the massive ship vanished, only to reappear moments later near a different outpost, its drive safely contained. "We have relocated the vessel to a secure location," the custodian explained. "Its crew will be detained and given the opportunity to reconsider their choices." Within hours, the attempted assault had been completely neutralized. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the human outposts demonstrated power beyond imagination, all while minimizing loss of life. As the dust settled, the custodian turned to the Concordat delegation. "Now you have seen a fraction of what humanity is capable of. But this was not a demonstration of superiority, but of responsibility. We have the power to reshape worlds, to rewrite the laws of physics as you understand them. Yet we choose restraint, cooperation, and growth." Ambassador Lyra, her energy form flickering with a mix of awe and apprehension, spoke up. "Why? With such power you could dominate the galaxy. Why seek our cooperation at all?" The custodian's expression softened. "Because true advancement, true enlightenment, comes not from domination but from collaboration. Humanity learned this lesson at great cost. We withdrew from the galactic stage not out of fear, but to prepare for this moment, when we could return and lift all sapient life to new heights. As the implications of the custodian's words sank in, Zara Venn felt a surge of hope. This was why she had become a historian, to uncover truths that could shape the future. Now she stood at the dawn of a new era, one that promised to unite the galaxy in ways never before imagined. The custodian continued, its voice filled with promise. What you have witnessed today is but the first step. We invite you, and all peaceful civilizations, to join us in the next great leap forward. Together, we will explore realms beyond your wildest dreams, unlock the deepest secrets of the cosmos, and forge a future limited only by our collective imagination. As the Concordat delegation absorbed these words, messages began pouring in from across the galaxy. The display screens filled with transmissions from countless worlds, all expressing a mix of awe, fear, and hope in the wake of what they had witnessed. Admiral Kexeri, his military mind racing with the implications, turned to Ambassador Lyra. "The galaxy will never be the same after this day," he said, his voice a mix of wonder and trepidation. Lyra's energy form pulsed in agreement. "No, it won't. But perhaps that's exactly what we needed. A new beginning, a chance to transcend our limitations and reach for something greater." As the delegation prepared to return to the Concordat with news that would reshape civilization itself, Zara Venn looked out at the stars, visible through a vast view screen. The galaxy seemed somehow brighter, more alive with possibility than ever before. The Titan had been unleashed, but not as an instrument of destruction. Instead, it stood as a beacon of hope, a promise of a future where the combined potential of all sapient life could flourish. The storm had broken, and in its wake, a new dawn was rising for the entire galaxy. Echoes across the stars. In the years that followed the dramatic unveiling of humanity's true power, the galaxy underwent a transformation unlike any in recorded history. The event, now known simply as the Awakening, became a pivotal moment that divided galactic history into before and after. On Axiom Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Concordat, a new structure dominated the skyline. The Nexus of Convergence, a breathtaking fusion of alien and human architecture, stood as a symbol of the new era of cooperation. Within its halls, representatives from every corner of the galaxy worked alongside human emissaries and their AI counterparts, tackling challenges that had once seemed insurmountable. Zara Venn, now the head of the newly formed Department of Human Galactic Relations, stood before a class of eager young scholars from a dozen different species. The lecture hall hummed with excitement as she began her talk. 10 years ago, we stood at a crossroads, Zara began, her voice carrying easily through the room. We faced a choice between fear and hope, between clinging to the familiar and embracing the unknown. Today, we stand as testament to the power of choosing hope. She gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing the transformation of various worlds across the galaxy. Barren planets now teemed with life, their ecosystems carefully crafted to support diverse species. Dying stars were rejuvenated, their lifespans extended by millennia. Worlds once torn apart by war now hosted thriving, peaceful civilizations. The integration of human technology and knowledge with our own has propelled us forward at an unprecedented rate, Zora continued. Diseases that once decimated entire species have been eradicated. Energy crises that threatened to plunge worlds into darkness have been solved. We've even taken our first steps into intergalactic exploration. A murmur of excitement rippled through the audience at this last point. The recent launch of the first intergalactic expedition, a joint effort between the Concordat and humanity, had captured the imagination of trillions across the Milky Way. But Zara's expression grew serious as she continued. However, this progress has not been without its challenges. The rapid pace of advancement has led to cultural upheavals on many worlds. Some species struggle to adapt to a galaxy where the laws of physics as they knew them seem to be more flexible. She paused, allowing the weight of her words to sink in. Moreover, not all have embraced this new era with open arms. The Relics Reservation and its allies, though greatly diminished, continue to reject cooperation with humanity. Their worlds remain isolated, a reminder of the path not taken. Images appeared of the Relics worlds, surrounded by containment fields that they had once seen as prisons, but now clung to as shields against a galaxy they no longer recognized or trusted. But even in the face of these challenges, we persevere. Zara's voice rose with passion. Because we have glimpsed the potential of what we can achieve together. We stand on the brink of understanding the fundamental nature of our universe in ways we could scarcely have imagined a decade ago. The holographic display shifted, showing the construction of massive structures in deep space. The Cosmic Concordance Project, a network of space-time observatories that will allow us to peer into the very fabric of reality, is nearing completion. With it, we hope to unlock the secrets of dark matter, dark energy, and perhaps even peer into other universes. As Zara spoke, her mind drifted to a conversation she had shared with the custodian AI shortly after the awakening. The AI's words still resonated with her. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology, it had said. It was our ability to imagine, to dream of things beyond our reach, and then strive to make them real. By sharing this gift with the galaxy, we all grow stronger. Returning to the present, Zara addressed her rapt audience once more. But perhaps the most profound change has been in how we view ourselves and our place in the cosmos. We are no longer alone, adrift in a vast and indifferent universe. We are part of a greater whole, a tapestry of life and consciousness that spans the stars. She gestured, and a holographic display expanded to show the Milky Way in all its glory, countless points of light representing the worlds and species now united in common purpose. As we stand here today, our galaxy teems with possibilities. We are witnessing the birth of art forms that transcend traditional senses, the emergence of new forms of consciousness, and the exploration of realms once thought to be purely theoretical. We are limited only by our imagination and our willingness to work together. Zara's voice softened, taking on a note of caution. Yet, with this great power comes great responsibility. We must never forget the lessons of the past, the dangers of hubris, and the importance of empathy. Our advancement must be tempered with wisdom, our exploration guided by respect for all forms of life. As she concluded her lecture, Zara noticed a familiar figure standing at the back of the hall. Admiral Kexeri, now serving as the Concordat's liaison to the Intergalactic Exploration Initiative, nodded in approval. After the students had filed out, buzzing with excitement and ideas, Kexeri approached Zara. "Another inspiring lecture," he said, his mandibles clicking in what Zara had learned was a gesture of respect. "You have a gift for capturing the magnitude of our journey." Zara smiled. "Some days I still can't believe how far we've come. Do you ever think back to that day on the outpost, when we first witnessed humanity's true power?" Kexeri's compound eyes seemed to gleam with memory. "Often. I remember the fear I felt, the certainty that we were about to be conquered or destroyed. How wrong I was. We all had much to learn," Zara agreed. "And we still do. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? There's always more to discover, more to understand." As they walked together towards the nexus of convergence, the sky above them was alive with activity. Ships of designs both familiar and strange plied the space lanes. Holographic advertisements showcased technologies that merged the biological and the mechanical in ways once thought impossible. In orbit, the skeletal framework of a new megastructure was taking shape, the first stage of a Dyson swarm that would harness the full energy of Axiom Prime's star. "Have you heard from the intergalactic expedition?" Zara asked as they entered the Nexus. Kexeri nodded. "The latest reports are promising. They've made contact with several civilizations in Andromeda. It seems we're not alone in the greater cosmic neighborhood either." Zara felt a thrill of excitement at the news. New civilizations, new perspectives, new challenges. The adventure never ends, does it? "Indeed not," Kexeri agreed. "And that is perhaps humanity's greatest gift to us all. the reminder that the universe is vast, wondrous, and full of possibilities waiting to be explored. As they parted ways, each heading to their respective duties and shaping the future of galactic civilization, Zora paused to look out a window at the bustling cityscape below. The galaxy had been forever changed by humanity's return, but it was not a change imposed by force. It was a transformation born of cooperation, of shared dreams and common goals. The echoes of that fateful awakening continued to ripple across the stars, touching lives and worlds in ways both profound and subtle. And as Zara watched the sun set on another day in this new age of wonders, she knew that the greatest adventures, the most amazing discoveries, still lay ahead. The human spirit, once thought lost to the ages, had returned to the galactic stage. But it had not come to conquer or subjugate. Instead, it had come to elevate, to inspire, and to join hands with all sentient life in a cosmic dance of exploration and growth. As night fell and the stars emerged, brighter and more numerous than ever before, Zara Ven smiled. The future stretched out before them, infinite in its potential, a canvas upon which the combined imagination of countless species would paint wonders yet unimagined. The journey that had begun with a single curious historian uncovering an ancient outpost had blossomed into a galactic renaissance. And this, Zara knew, was only the beginning.